Reno ni Vaitano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Pallbearer album, Heartless. Arkansas metal band Pallbearer is back with their third full-length album. It's out now on Profound Lore Records. I caught on to these guys back in 2012 with the release of their debut full-length album, Sorrow and Extinction. I like this album a lot. I didn't think it was amazing at the time, though the band was, to a degree, providing a breath of fresh air to the growing trend of doom metal at the time, taking a more traditional approach, but still sounding every bit as heavy as their contemporaries. But Pallbearer was way more melodic by comparison. The band took special care on a lot of the tracks on this record to lace them with these epic, really soaring and inspiring guitar solos, often harmonized with another guitar. It was just really colorful, beautiful, nice on ears, very pretty. However, it was kind of one-dimensional though. It seemed like while the band's bag of tricks were good, there were only like a few tricks sitting in there. Not only that, but I found the vocals on this record to be kind of lacking, not all that much character to them, and they were buried behind the guitars a lot of the time. On their sophomore record, Pallbearer came through with pretty much a sequel to their debut album. You know, this album is very much like its predecessor in every way, shape, or form. I just kind of took this record as Pallbearer refusing to take those few very tiny but necessary steps to actually come through with a distinct sound, a distinct record. Heartless, though, is Pallbearer's most varied and ambitious album yet. Finally, the band is taking some risks. They're bringing some other sounds and influences into the fold. Of course, as usual, you still have the band's monstrous riffs, good chord progressions, soaring, singing guitar solos that are playing on top of all that. But the progressive rock influence the band's music is always showcased to a degree, I think turns up in a big way on Heartless. For example, before the huge, gigantic, monolithic guitar riffs come in to smother the mix on the song Dancing in Madness, the pristine guitar solo passage that kicks the entire track off for 2 minutes sounds like something out of the Pink Floyd playbook. And there's some other very nice subtle moments on this album, spots where the huge riffs kind of melt away and give way to some prettier guitars, some spotlighted vocals. But also there are spots on this record where Pallbearer has never had so much bite. The chugging riffs and shouted vocals on the track Cruel Road are absolutely visceral and menacing. Same goes for the devilish shouts on the song Dancing in Madness, which is the track I referenced earlier. It's really a multifaceted song. Numerous passages to this track. Not only these shouted spots with very raspy vocals, but there are spots where the vocals sort of reach these really expressive, soaring, passionate highs like I'm listening to a power ballad or something. I kind of get that same vibe off of the opening track to the record too. Maybe not one of the most bold songs in the track listing here, but I certainly do, again, get that vibe. I get a prog rock vibe off the track Live Survival as well, while the lead vocals kind of sing this old, archaic, somewhat folky melody. Seems like another nod in the band's discography to Jethro Tull. It really feels like the band is so focused on writing these directional, consequential songs. They're not just getting lost in the riffs and kind of kicking back and letting the melodic lead guitars do most of the work. Case in point, the song Plea for Understanding, one of the most epic tracks on the entire record, has this beautiful, really toned down moment where the vocals are spotlighted, like I was saying earlier, set against a very beautiful shimmering guitars. From here, from this very bare bones moment in the track, the band eventually turns up the heat, brings the track to a boiling point with these climactic, rushing, almost crescendo-like doomy riffs. I've never heard sort of doomy guitars kind of grow and blossom in the way that they do on this track. It ends up being a really epic, grand, gorgeous finish. There are a few spots where I feel like the band is kind of falling back into their old ways a little bit. As I said earlier, the song I See No End doesn't exactly reflect the more ambitious and colorful approach that the band is taking on this record. Feels like Pallbearer by the numbers in a lot of ways, with the exception of the vocals. And the song Thorns, while it does kick off with some of the most badass riffs that have ever been on any Pallbearer song ever, as soon as these melt away, it kind of feels like the band mellows out a little bit too much and the song loses its momentum a bit. The vocal performance isn't one of the most memorable on the entire record either, and they just kind of fall back behind the heavy guitars once again. But despite those couple of complaints, I do think this is Pallbearer's best album yet. Again, their most ambitious and varied album, their longest album too, the most epically structured tracks of any Pallbearer album so far. The production on this thing is certainly better than anything the band has released thus far. The vocals have improved greatly in terms of their sound, their variety, the emotional sort of quality of the vocals. This thing is for the doom fans, this thing is for the progressive rock fans, it's for the psych rock fans too. If you're looking for something heavy and monolithic, but also melodic, inspiring, something righteous, something really powerful, then I would definitely recommend giving this thing a listen. I'm feeling a light 8 on this album. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe. And please don't die. Just keep on watching the reviews. Stay alive. Stay hydrated. Stay healthy. All sorts of videos and links next to my head I think you should check out. Official website. Subscribe to the channel. All that stuff. Forever.